A lot of times we think we need consistency to accomplish things. And it makes sense, right? Because when you're consistent, when you continuously do things, when you continuously show up, then you can actually have results. And so when you don't have consistency, we look at ourselves saying, oh, we're just lazy, or we're not committed, or, we're weak minded or easily distracted. But a lot of times, what is underneath it is just an unregulated system. It is fear holding us back. It is even the fear of shining that could hold us back, the fear of actually being successful. What if I do succeed? I would have so much more hate over me, or I won't have time for my children anymore, etc., etc. A lot of times we have these invisible things that are pulling us down and that are actually preventing us from moving forward. This week has been very busy for me. I mentioned it in one of my episodes that my son's father got sick, and so I had to drop everything, pick the little one from school. I wasn't anticipating on having the little one, but I'm like, hey, fine, we can do this. I can still show up, make a beautiful episode, pick him up from school, and bring him to all his extracurriculums. Fine, and I still have the little one who actually got a little bit sick yesterday himself, and so during school hours, I got a message from the teacher like, hey, can you pick him up? He's not feeling well, and so before I knew it, 11 o'clock, I had a little one. And I was still able to show up consistently to create a video. And I was thinking about it like, I would have any reason to not show up. I could say, well, life happens. And a lot of times, this would be the reasons for me not show up, right? Because let's say I would do this on a weekly basis. And then this week became so chaotic out of nowhere, things that you cannot plan, right? Because life happens. What would you do? Well, you would push things over, or you would have this whole backlog in case that happens so that you can use older footages that you made in the past. Um, but I don't have that because I create in a moment, right? And the only thing that really changed is not being more driven, because I've always been driven, is that I am not pulled back anymore by these energies that are like, hey, Ash, you know, it's an overload. Like it's too much to handle. Carrying all these different roles. Every time I felt that, I knew what to do to regulate myself. And I was listening to this beautiful podcast the other day. It was actually yesterday because the little one magically felt better later today. And so he was still able to do soccer and skate. That's why he's at school right now. I think he just wanted to be with mommy. Anyway, long story short, as he was doing that, I was listening to this podcast. And one of the girls said that, like, hey, a lot of people are talking about regulating their nervous system, and nobody really tells them what that means or how that looks like. And she was sharing how she did that, like meditation, breath work, etc. And I'm like, you know what? I talk about that too. Let me show you guys. I didn't even know I was going to do this, but I want to actually bring that invite out. I want to create a container for whoever wants to experience it and showcase you guys how to regulate your nervous system, how I do my own practices whenever I don't feel safe or whenever I feel frustrated, because it's a very beautiful way to alchemize this. And for me, I have my own way of doing it, meaning I do it with my body because it is the body that senses fear or danger or restriction. And I do it mentally, meaning I take the time to tell myself a new story, to have a new perspective on things. That combination is gold, because when I just focus on my mental part, it didn't always happen, right? Because my body would still freeze. And if I would focus on my body only, sometimes my mind would still just block me, it would still sabotage me. And so that combination for me was this golden place where I'm like, okay, this is everything. When I guide people, I do everything intuitively. So I always bring them what they need in that moment. I have, I think, endless ways of doing that. It's not always somatically, but I do know that somatic practices are definitely a game changer, and it has helped me so much in this whole process of where I stood last year, because I was referring to that in the episode of yesterday, to where I am right now. What I really used was this specific combination. And I'm like, I don't just want to talk about this. I want you guys to experience it yourself. And so I'm going to create that now. I'm just going to create a way for you to experience that. I'm also very interested to see how that's going to play out. But guess what? Every level requires a new version of me, so we're just going to do this. So you will hear from me, but I will probably work on this and drop the link in the description. Even though I'm already gonna send this out, because I literally just made this up right now. Like I just decided on this right now to do this and to open that space for you guys and to have that container. Once it's live, I will mention it in another episode too, and I will also put the link in the description. This kind of happens when you are in the moment, right? And you create, then you get the ideas, and guess what? My nervous system feels so safe that I'm not going to stop myself from speaking it out. When you have a great idea, you act on it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in tomorrow's episode.